3, 2, 1.
And now, you're tuned into the Navarro-Miller Report, featuring the hottest in news, entertainment, sports, and all those topics for the mainstream audience. The Navarro-Miller Report.
Examine your reality.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Navarro-Miller Report. I'm your host, Dave Navarro.
And I'm Jeremy Miller.
And oh my God, Jeremy, welcome to the wonderful days of summer. This is freaking getting insane, bro. Like, how are you dealing with the heat right now?
Oh, it's taken a while for the body to adjust. You know, my thermostat already doesn't like the heat. So, yeah, it's been a little brutal, but just staying inside as much as possible.
Yeah, I mean, at least you and I and the family, we went out this past Monday to Malibu. That was a lot, dude. That water was freaking awesome. Let me just tell you that right now.
The whole thing was incredible. I mean, we didn't get home until 9:30 at night, and it was still hotter when we got home than it was in the middle of the day at the beach. So it was quite a nice break.
It was so funny because it's like the moment we went over the mountains of Malibu and right back into the valley, you could feel the freaking difference. It's like, welcome to hell, you know, like as soon as we get back in there. Oh, so bad, but we got to do that again. I mean, you know, hopefully you won't be there, but I mean, I need to get back there again. I'm hoping, you know.
The feeling's mutual. Don't worry about it. I had to put up with you as well. It's a mutual thing. It goes both ways.
I mean, you know, if it wasn't for your fiance,
the problem is my friends like you. That's the problem.
That's just crazy. I don't get that. I don't understand that. But
I don't understand it either. But you know,
I mean, but then again, you know,
I keep telling them you're not worth to keep it around. I've been doing it for years, and I still can't figure out why.
And I keep telling people I'm like a bad penny. I always turn up. So I mean, one way or the other, you know, you can't get rid of me. I'm like, you know, I'm like some sort of like STD or something. You can't get rid of me that easily.
You had to go there, didn't you?
Well, why not? You know, wanted to welcome everybody to the stream right now. Ryan, hey man, you know, nice to have you on the stream. Derek says, hope you discussed the UCLA and USC jump. Well, we'll get to that in a second, Derek. Believe me, that's something that we will be talking about very soon. But I mean, before we get to all that good stuff, Jeremy, you got some obscure news for us, and you know that I always love hearing these crazy, like, weird stories that you got going on, especially something happening with Nintendo.
Yeah, this is an interesting one, and it begs a few interesting questions. We have a diehard Nintendo super fan based in Japan. His name has been kept anonymous, but he spent $40,000 to buy 1 unit of Nintendo stock so that he could attend their yearly board meeting.
Just for that? Just
so he could attend the board meeting, hoping to ask a question. And there was no guarantee he would be called on or would get the opportunity to ask that question, but he did actually. And apparently he asked, let me see, it's
when are you bringing Nintendo, like when are you bringing Super Mario Brothers, the original, back?
Not exactly. It's along those lines though. So basically what he wanted to know, he asked the president of Nintendo, Shintaro Furukawa, whether the company had considered relaunching F-Zero or a couple of their other more legendary fan favorite games. And of course, he got almost no, I mean, it was a kind of standard response he got is, you know, it's very hard to redo those and we're always open to it. And we love our fans, you know, passion for these things, but he didn't give him any answers or, you know, he didn't get anything quantitative out of it. But it begs the question to me, is there any product that you would be willing to do that for, to spend an obscene amount of money to ask them, when are you going to bring this something I love back? Is there any product?
And no answer?
I can't think of anything. I mean, there are some products that have been, especially food wise and, you know, foodie wise, things like that are, you know, you're not able to get anymore, that I would love to see back. I can't, even if I was filthy rich, I can't imagine dropping that much money just to get into a boardroom and say, can I please get this back? This guy is a super fan and then some.
And apparently he's got a lot of money to burn that he didn't care spending $40,000 just to ask that one question. I mean, he could have asked anything, absolutely anything, like you said, and he decided to ask that particular question. Like, it's like, okay.
He apparently sold other stock, another investment of his, to finance this purchase. So he's obviously doing well, but yeah, he sold off a bunch of his other stock to finance this purchase.
Get this guy on the line and maybe we could go and see what kind of stocks he's getting into, because I want the stocks he's got right now. Maybe he got into GameStop or really early on.
Really early, yeah.
Wow, no, that's freaking insane though. I really have no idea. Like that right there would just trip me out right there, to be honest with you. But we got more obscure news, and this one has to do with a mom flashing prison inmates and getting arrested for flashing them. I mean, you know, in essence, just that alone, I gotta know what the hell happened.
Well, let me say, this is something that has been going on for years. There are many stories. There have been many books written in prison by former inmates who have talked about this happening. It's very common occurrence for someone's girlfriend, someone's side piece, someone's whatever, to get to a certain point outside the prison where they can be seen, and they will often flash the inmates. This is more common than you would think. But apparently a Pennsylvania mom took her children to a Lancaster County prison in Pennsylvania to visit a specific prisoner. And then when she got done, apparently came out, and while her children were swinging on the street signs and playing around the street, proceeded to flash the prisoners and do like car magazine poses on her hood and stuff.
While she's topless?
While she's topless.
Oh my God.
They said you could hear the prisoners cheering, hooping, and hollering from outside the prison, and she was combative with the officers who came out to actually arrest her and escort her off. She might not have gotten arrested if apparently she had not been so combative and braggadocious and unrepentant for what she did. She basically bragged about doing it, and it took the jury apparently 8 minutes to convict her.
Oh my God. There's just so much I can go with on this right now.
Well, I mean,
he's going nuts right now, because it's like, okay, first of all, she's giving those inmates hope, which they're not supposed to have. They're supposed to be in there hopeless completely, and learning a lesson. Some of those inmates may be sex offenders, so she just gave them a rise, in hope. And also I feel bad for any of the girlfriends of those inmates, because that's going to be a hot night that night thanks to her.
Well, I mean, I'm sitting here thinking about the children. She's got her children literally playing around a major street, just hanging from street signs and running around the car and everything while she's busy doing this. So I think she's lucky she got only charged with lewd behavior in public.
They talking about? That's mom of the year right there, bro. That's mom of the year.
They could have gone after her for child endangerment. They could have gone after her for a whole bunch of stuff that I think they should have.
That's mom of the year right there, bro. Like that right there is like a plus mom in my book.
Really? You wanted to see your mom topless on the hood of a car? That's a good idea, really?
Of course not. No, it's not. Seriously, like, I mean, obviously she didn't care about her children to go ahead and be doing what she was doing. So exactly. I mean, it's just how desperate does that woman have to be to go ahead and get that much? Like, was she not getting attention at home from her husband, or maybe she doesn't have a husband, or who knows? Maybe she's a single mom that she decided to go ahead and go that route.
Honestly, for me, if it's somebody who, man, they just love their, significant others so much that they go to the prison to do that. Who the hell cares? Truthfully, I don't care. But you brought your children, okay? You brought your children not only to the prison, which if it's their father, if it's whatever, then you got to do what you got to do. You bring them to visit or whatever. But you are then outside the prison behaving like a stripper on your car in front of your children while they play near a major street. Are you joking me?
What kind of trauma are those kids gonna have when they get older? They're like, at this point, I bet you anything, those kids cannot go near a prison or watch any prison movie without remembering their mother on the hood of the car.
I think even Christopher Titus, who used to say that, you know, once you've driven your drunk father to your mom's parole hearing, there's not much else, would go, what the fuck with this? I mean, I seriously,
I think this one tops it. I think this one tops that. This particular one tops that. Oh my God. Well, thanks for those wonderful reports and great visual, Jeremy. Appreciate that. You know, oh, just so bad. That's all bad. In entertainment news, topping our stories this week, actually, frontman for the band Poison, Bret Michaels, was hospitalized yesterday, right before he went up on stage in a performance in Nashville, Tennessee, ahead of his shows. Actually, he went on to Instagram and he went to say, quote, "To the incredible fans in Nashville, thank you all for your well wishes. I was truly fired up to get on stage in the Music City and perform, but due to unforeseen medical complication and following hospitalization, it was not possible. I send my deepest apologies for being unable to rock the stage. I'm working on being back 100% very soon and hope you rocked hard with my friends Motley, Leopard, Joan, and Classless Act." This is actually a tour that's going on right now. They are Motley Crue is touring with Def Leppard, Joan Jett, and the Blackhearts. So it was actually very disappointing to many people because this happened right before Poison was going to get on stage and perform, and nobody really knows why he's hospitalized, why he was actually sent to the hospital. He just, but apparently, if he's saying that he's hoping to get 100%, maybe it was a little bit more serious than people thought. I mean, for the fact of the matter that he was actually they actually had to hospitalize him. They couldn't just treat him backstage for anything. So who knows what exactly was going on there. And I mean, but that, I'm thinking that concert alone sounds like it's freaking rocking, to be honest with you.
I mean, we don't have any more details. It hasn't been released what he was dealing with, but I can tell you, I actually have a couple of friends, guys that I play an online game with, who have tickets to this show. They're actually going, I don't know if it was this exact one, but they are going to this concert with Motley Crue and Joan Jett and everybody. And they're extremely excited. And they were extremely excited for Poison to be a part of that. So I'm hoping Bret is able to perform. But I'll go back to something I've always said, the bill always comes due. Okay. We're seeing a lot of these guys who've lived very, very hard for a very long time. And even though most of them have cleaned up their acts as they get older and stuff like that, the toll that takes on your body over the years, you can't deny it. You Sure. just can't. It's, Keith Richards is the anomaly. Okay. Literally, it's Dennis Leary once said, after a nuclear attack, nothing will be left but Keith Richards and the roaches. It's the man just won't go anywhere, and he doesn't seem to get sick, and he doesn't, but you look at all these old hard partying rockers and musicians, and the truth is the bill always comes due. I mean, you may have had a lot of fun and those experiences may have been absolutely worth it to you, but it's something you just can't get away from. And truthfully, it's being somebody who came out of addiction. It's a big deal. It's something people don't talk about enough because we glorify the rockers. We glorify the musician lifestyle, the hard party and traveling, women and booze and this and that. The bill always comes due. That's, like with anything else, are you willing to pay the consequences? You can do just about anything you want in this life, but are you willing to pay the bill?
And not only that, I mean, the other thing too, that I also have to look at is that, I mean, you're right. I mean, this is becoming of a trend this week because you have Travis Barker that was hospitalized for pancreatitis. And I mean, the only one that's
which by the way, is almost always at his age attributed to alcohol consumption.
Yep.
Now it comes from other places as well, but at his age, the most common cause of pancreatitis is alcohol overconsumption.
Yeah, and we got that. But I mean, one person that's still rocking hard, that's still partying hard, that had to go back to rehab, that actually just got out of rehab, is Steven Tyler from Aerosmith. He actually just got out of rehab. He's actually very happy that he's back. He's trying to recover. He's trying to do that stuff. So even still, there's still some guys that are older now that are still partying. It's like, unfortunately, addiction, it's something that doesn't really go away. There's no cure for it, obviously. And I mean, firsthand that there's no real cure for it, except just trying to do it one day at a time, right?
Absolutely. And that Steven Tyler thing really hits home for me and really reminds me that I got to stay on my game, because Steven had a lot of sobriety, and through recovery, I'm actually connected to Steven in a lot of ways. And we didn't know, the people around me and that have been around him, no one was talking about it. And that might have something to do with, the fact that in recovery, you just don't talk about other people's issues and problems. But that hits hard, because Steven had a lot of sobriety and was in, the different rooms of recovery and in recovery programs, kind of a stalwart in that area. So even the best of us can slip up and easily succumb to that again.
No, it's tough. I mean, and it's crazy, because you haven't heard anything from Steven Tyler in years. You've never heard. I mean, we all thought that he was clean, he was sober. I mean, he's been sober for many years, and then something triggered him to fall off the wagon, so much so that he had to go back into rehab. So there's something crazy going on. Maybe it's the moon, I don't know, but it's just crazy to hear that somebody his age can still succumb to temptation, can still fall off the wagon. It's crazy, but I mean, lucky he's back out. He's recovered. He's trying to make himself better. And
very glad to hear that.
I mean, and Travis Barker, he's recovering as well. Seems like he's doing a little bit better as well. He's recovering as well. And Brett Michaels seems like he's going to be doing pretty well as well. So, here's hoping that all these rock stars and anybody in the future take notice and take these people as examples of, careful what you do. That fame, that money could come back to bite you in the ass real hard, and you're not gonna want to be there, like you said, to pay that bill at the end. So, we're hoping that they stay on the straight and narrow for the rest of the way. In other entertainment news, actress Lena Headey is cut from Thor 4, and one of the reasons why she's cut is because she's actually in a lawsuit of $1.5 million that she owes of commission to her former agency. Now, this actually is coming from Variety, and it reports, quote, that UK agency Troika, who previously represented Headey, has filed a lawsuit against the actor over outstanding commission fees connected to multiple projects. The agency is seeking $1.5 million in total, which includes $500,000, around 7% of her fee, for her earnings on Thor 4, though she does not appear in the final cut of the Marvel movie. So, I mean, I talked to you about this before we started the show, Jeremy, and you kind of gave me a little bit of a side eye to this whole situation. I'm curious. What was going in your mind when I went through the store with you?
Well, there's a little more detail you've given me now, but what I was really wondering was, are they going after her for the money she was supposed to make, and she did something that got her cut, so they're going after her for a breach of contract? But this sounds more like this had been a reoccurring theme, and they already had issues with getting her commissions from her. So that clears up a few issues. It does beg a question, though, because in the United States, agencies take your commission before you get your check.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there would be, I don't know how this happens. Apparently, maybe in England or wherever this agency is based, maybe it's done differently, and the talent gets their entire check and they have to issue it to the agent. That's not how it works here. That's how many actors have been skimmed off of. Unfortunately, it has happened many, 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 many times by many agents, because we don't see the checks until afterwards. The check goes to our agent, the agent takes their cut, and then they issue us a check. So, it's an interesting, I like the idea of us having a little more power and being able to handle our own money and then take care of our own responsibilities. But again, then you get somebody like this who's cheating their representatives out of their cut, and that's not cool either. So, I certainly can't blame them. That's pretty underhanded for her to. I mean, we don't know her side of it. We don't know why this happened. Did they breach contract? Is there a reason she's doing this? But and that'll come out in the trial. But for me, that's a pretty shady thing to do. I mean, I don't have the highest opinion of most agents and managers because I think they often like to take advantage. But when you have an agreement with somebody for 10, 15%, and their job is to get you that work, and they follow through on that and have gotten you that work, then that's a pretty low thing to do to cheat them out of their share.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned her side of the story because she does have a side of the story, actually. In her side, she says, quote, this is from the article. She says, quote, Heidi also claims that Troika was not involved in the negotiations regarding her now axed role on Thor, Love and Thunder, as directed Taika Waititi personally reached out to her about the part. In addition to her MCU fees, the agency is said to be seeking at least $300,000 from her lead role on 9 Bullets and $650,000 for her titular role on scrapped Showtime series Rita. It says also Heidi has allegedly disputed all of Troika's claims for these commission fees in her legal filings, asserting that the agency has been correctly paid up for the projects they had a hand in while they represented her. It's also noted that Troika wasn't her sole agent and therefore didn't lead all negotiations because she was simultaneously signed with CAA in the US. So there's conflicting reports here. There's definitely conflicting reports here. She's saying that she already paid them off. They're saying they're not paid off. Like you said, it's going to end up being in court. The proof is going to be right there. They're probably going to have like a paper trail of everything that was involved as far as what monies were being brought in, etc. But I mean, at the end of the day, like you said, they must have a different way that they do things. I mean, 7% commission here, I think that's like the standard's 10% or 15%, something like that.
10's the minimum, sometimes 15.
So they were taking
depending on how big
cheaper.
the agency. Yeah, no, that's a heck of a deal. Keeping an extra 3% is awesome, but this gets into a lot of the technicalities, and it's one of the issues I've heard about a lot with actors or actresses who are represented by overseas agencies, because when you have dual agencies, that can create issues. I have dealt with that myself in some of my dealings in China, having representation over there as well as having it here. So there are conflicts that arise. I have dealt with it myself, people thinking that I owed them here and there, and you got to go through the legal process with it. That's really the only thing you can do. It's all going to depend on the contracts. I mean, that's what actors and actresses live by. It's the contracts, and what did you sign? If what she signed is they have a right to anything she does, which is something that agencies do, then she's still going to owe money. I mean, that's just a simple fact. It's going to come down to the language of the contracts.
You got to always read the fine print. So you always got to keep on looking. Is the fine print right there? Because you don't know, somewhere in the fine print. I mean, I just had an experience today actually having to deal with a certain website that kind of screwed me over a little bit. We're not going to get into that. I'm a little bit upset about that, but anywho, well, we'll go ahead and I'm kind of curious about the story. I'll go ahead and follow up and see if who exactly is in the right and the wrong here. So we'll keep you guys posted on that. In other entertainment news, Tim Allen is a little bit he's not happy with the new Buzz Lightyear, even though critics have been raving about the new Buzz Lightyear. They think Chris Evans did a great job doing the prequel to Toy Story, to everything Toy Story, actually. But Tim Allen was not too happy with it. He was actually interviewed on Extra, and basically he said, quote, "It's a wonderful story. It just doesn't seem to have any connection to the toy, and it's a little, I don't know. It just has no relationship to Buzz. It just, no connection. I wish there was a better connection." Now, my thing here is I'm wondering if, because there were reports that Tim was not exactly too thrilled that he wasn't asked to reprise his role as Buzz Lightyear, being that he is the original voice of Buzz Lightyear. So is there a possibility that maybe it's just sour grapes from his part, that he's, kind of slamming the new movie a little bit?
Well, it's certainly possible that there could definitely be a little pre-bias there before he even saw it, and I'll preface this by saying I haven't seen the film yet. I've only seen the previews, but in seeing the previews, I got kind of the same feeling he did. Now, I'm not saying it's not a good film, but this is something that we run into with a lot of these prequels, remakes, whatever, where you take iconic characters and you're changing the basis of what we know about them. Old school hardcore fans are going to want something that stays truer to the original character, to the original storyline. Now, again, I haven't seen the film, but I got the same vibe off of the previews that, you know, Tim Allen is articulating. That it didn't seem to have much connection. Maybe a good film. It may be, you know, I mean, these films are made for the newer generation to draw more newer viewers into these stories. So maybe it is a very good film that will reach a lot of younger kids. But as somebody who created this iconic character, I can see where maybe he would be like, it was good, but it's not what we did. You know, and there is a certain amount of ownership to a role like that. And you want to see it continued in the right way. So I think it's very possible that it's sour grapes. But like I said, when you read to me what he said, I connected with that because I didn't get the same feeling or connection to the old Buzz Lightyear either when I saw the previews.
Yeah, I mean, it looks really cool. And I don't know. I mean, I can't get behind Chris Evans being the voice of Buzz Lightyear because I'm so used to Tim Allen being the voice of Buzz Lightyear. I mean, like you said, he's the original. He's the one that started this whole Toy Story thing with his voice as Buzz Lightyear. I mean, Tom Hanks as Woody. I mean, it just doesn't seem like it's right, you know, without them in this. And granted, it's a story. It's a standalone story. You know, that has nothing to do with the Toy Story. It has nothing to do even with the toy. As Tim Allen pointed out, it has more to do with the character Buzz Lightyear himself and what, you know, why his show made it so popular to make a toy out of him. So, which again, that's also doesn't really make any sense, I guess, to Toy Story, the actual movie, because I don't know, it's a little bit weird to me. I mean, don't get me wrong, Chris Evans is an incredible actor. I think he, you know, he kind of almost sounds a little bit like a younger Tim Allen with his voice and everything as Buzz Lightyear, but it's not the same. It's just not the same. And I'm not, you know, I'm not digging it. I'm really not digging it.
I guess anytime you recast an iconic character, it's very touchy. Okay. I mean, look at Ewan McGregor doing Obi-Wan. An amazing recreation and extension of that character, but I can name you 15 others that they destroyed, you know, by recasting these iconic people. Yeah. So it's a very delicate thing as a filmmaker to try and do that. It's not that it can't be done, but it is very hard. You're taking something that people identify and one of the core things they loved about this project in this film, and you're altering it completely.
Yeah, no, and you talked about Obi-Wan, and my God, the finale was fan-freaking-tastic. And you actually asked me this question on our way to Malibu. Actually, you asked me because you reminded me a few weeks ago, like how we talked that Ewan McGregor wanted there to be more to the story of Obi-Wan, and then after seeing
you were very much in agreement with that at the beginning.
I was at the beginning, but then after watching it, I saw the finale. I told you it ended the way it was supposed to end. It ended perfectly, and I think because there was just closure. Obi-Wan finally got the closure that he wanted, that he needed. Actually, I mean, he was miserable after what happened with Anakin, and this finale, it gave him the closure that he needed. And that I almost felt like it was me, that I was like, wow, that's a weight lifted off my shoulders, you know, after watching that. So yeah, I think it ended on a great note. And for those of you that haven't seen that, again, I'm not going to spoil anything for you. I know Jeremy hasn't really seen all of them.
I got 2 episodes to finish,
so I'm not going to go ahead and spoil it for anybody. But yeah, you have to go ahead and go, if you can binge watch it. Right now I'm actually binge watching Stranger Things. The season 4, the finale actually is. I left it halfway before I started the show. I was like, I want to watch the rest of it, but it's getting really good on Stranger Things as well. Real quick on the chat stream, Ryan, he actually commented on those websites, screwing people over, and basically said, I know exactly what you're talking about, bro. It's sad that certain websites try to play games, especially with the fine prints and stuff like that. It sucks, let me tell you. Betty is saying hello from Mississippi, so hello back to you, Betty.
Hey, love me some Mississippi.
I remember I had a 5th grade teacher that says that his wife used to call it Mrs. Sloppy. Put him. Hold on.
That's just rude.
That's what his wife used to say. It's not my fault. That's what So I mean, I got the rim shot for that one. I had to go to play it. So, but anyways, wanted to welcome everybody to the stream. Make sure you go ahead and comment on anything that we're talking about here, because we always love to listen to everybody's comments. Not their complaints, because we don't care about your complaints. So this isn't the complaint department. So for that, there's a little box right there. You could just exit. I'm just playing. So anyways, Jeremy's like, you're such a dick.
See what I deal with on a regular basis, folks? This is what he seems so sweet. This is what I see on a daily basis.
I keep it 100 though. I keep it 100, son. 100.
It's not an excuse. It's not an excuse.
Anywho, we come to the portion of the show where I love to go ahead and do this to Jeremy. I love doing, because again, if you guys don't know this, if you guys can't find him on TikTok, there's a reason why Jeremy hasn't joined TikTok. Because besides the fact of the matter that he's old and he's got his own conspiracy theories about it, he just doesn't like TikTok.
Oh, you're gonna lump me in with that category, huh? Okay, fine.
Just about TikTok, not about anything else. No, but he just doesn't like it. He just doesn't like TikTok. So I force him to watch some of these blind reacts, so he can watch some of these videos. Now, this first one, I don't know. Here in California, we have something called I think it's called the San Diego Wild Animal Park, where you could actually drive. I've never been there. I've always wanted to go.
Used to go all the time as a kid.
Yeah, I've never been. Actually, that's one place I've always wanted to go. That and SeaWorld. I've lived here all my life. I've never been to SeaWorld either.
We're gonna do a San Diego trip, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to go. I'd love to go ahead and check it out because I've always wanted to. I graduated in San Diego and I was down there with my mom, but we never got a chance to go to any of these places. So it kind of, sucked. But I mean, this particular TikTok has to do with something similar where 2 young ladies actually drive into a wild animal park and well, I'm not going to spoil it for you. Check it out.
Oh my God, you're so pretty and big. Oh, and I took my bowl. What are you doing? Oh, you're coming in so fast. Oh my God. Your teeth are so big. And I don't have food. Okay. Please stop.
Oh my goodness. I honestly think the one girl took her friend there just to see her friend's reaction.
Dude, well, her facial expression change was so hilarious. She was like, "Oh my God!" Like she went from like a high pitch to like Darth Vader in like 2 seconds. She's like, "Oh my God!"
That's the magic of those places. You're getting right up close to the wild animals. If you're not prepared for it, that's what you get.
Oh my God. Oh, that's just great. Well, the other video that I got comes in just in time for summer. Gentlemen, if you want to go ahead and show off your bodies on TikTok, take example from these 2 gentlemen right here. one had metal, the other one had a thong to their freaking belly.
Accurate without having to say a word.
One's made of steel, the other one's made of, well, beer. So
That would have been funny, a wave sound instead, but
guess who decided to join our chat right now, Jeremy? We have your wonderful fiance on the chat right now. Joni is actually commenting on the first video. She's saying she agrees with us about her facial expression, the girl's facial expression. She's like, LOL, she sure did change her facial expressions. And then she also commented about the animal park too. She said, "Don't take me, I would not be prepared."
we'll put Joni in the back seat with the windows rolled up. It'll be fun.
Yeah, there you go. Now, this last video actually has to do with dating, actually. And
oh boy,
yeah,
you had to
dates.
save this one for when Joni gets on. You're
No, but this one has to do with like a scenario of a blind date, and he goes into real depth with this explanation. And trust me, you're not ready for what happens next.
Imagine you're on a date with a guy and this dude is absolutely perfect. You know, he's handsome, he's in shape, he makes a lot of money, he's respectful, he pays for dinner. This guy might be the one. And he invites you to his apartment, and when you guys get there, he stops, and before he gets in, he looks at you and he goes, "Sarah, I had an amazing night with you. I think you're incredible. But before we go in, I have to warn you. My roommate it's kind of a lot, and I don't want him to turn you off or make you think I'm some type of freak." And you cut him off and you're like, "Bruce, we've all had shitty roommates. I'm here because I like you, not because I have to like him." And he smiles at you and he goes, "Come in." And you guys go into his apartment, and this place is fucking decked out, dude. It's modern art, designer furniture. This guy totally can be in your future. You want him to be. And you're looking around, you're mesmerized, and all of a sudden you hear, "Is that Sarah?" And you turn around. "Sarah! Oh, I've heard so much about you." And it's connected to his arm, and he's looking at this fucking puppet, and he's like, "Jimmy, come on. I told you that I'm gonna be having company over. Can you please go back into your room? I'm so sorry about this." And you're looking at him and you're like, "Oh, your roommate is it's a puppet. I didn't know that you were a ventriloquist." And he looks at you. "I'm not." "Sarah, you know, my roommate here, Bruce, he's a really great guy." "Oh, Jimmy, come on, you don't have to say that. I'm sorry, we're kind of best friends." "Anyway, he's been through a couple of stupid bitches, and I just wanted to warn you, if you fucking break his heart, well, maybe a song might help explain this whole thing. If you break my roommate's heart, I'm gonna slit your throat. I'm gonna drink your blood, eat your organs, and make your skin a coat." Sarah, doesn't Jimmy have the best sense of humor? And you're looking at him and you're like, "I want to go home. Lock the fucking door."
Yeah. Sorry for the video delay, but yeah.
I don't even know where to start with that.
Be very gentle.
The problem with online dating.
The fact that guy's a freaking psychopath. Oh Lord.
Holy cow, that is a level of crazy I'm not sure any woman could handle.
I like the song personally. Very catchy song, apparently. Oh my God. Leave it to TikTok to go ahead and really traumatize children and everybody else. Anywho, that was the end of our little blind react. I'm sure Jeremy's had enough of that for one day. Let's go ahead and turn into sports right now, where we have a lot to talk about, actually. Woo! NCAA major shakeup going on right now. I mean, you got UCLA and USC that left the Pac-12 going to the Big Ten. Like, what? I mean, that was freaking. That's just insane. What's going on?
Yeah, we are seeing the landscape of college football change forever, basically. USC and UCLA, two of the premier West Coast schools, are joining the Big Ten, and it starts in 2024, and the repercussions of this are already being felt nationwide. I mean, nationwide.
Oh, we got a little bit of a problem here.
Super conference and all that in a minute, but
we had a little bit of technical difficulties there for a second. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
I was just saying that we'll get to the whole aspect of super conferences and whether this is going to be good for sports, but you have to understand the repercussions that have come out of this move. Okay. Already, I mean, USC, and I know you're going to, yes, I'm a USC homer and I'm a USC fan, but USC is the premier program in the Pac-12. They helped found the Pac-12. They are one of the founding institutions of this league.
I mean, I may be a rival, but I mean, facts are facts. You're speaking true facts. I'm not going to deny that.
And it has been the premier team, the one who's won the most conference champion, all that stuff. So for them to leave is huge, first of all. I think it's very nice that they let their little brother come with.
Okay, you just had to take a dig. I actually complimented you. You had to take a dig right there, didn't you? Just couldn't let one just slide, could you?
But
kiss my.
I think it's very, very nice of them. But
whatever.
What has come out of this now is every single team, apparently, we've gotten a report, every single team in the Pac-12 has either filed for transfer to the Big Ten or the Big 12.
Do we know which teams?
They've filed well, we know two of them for sure, because Oregon and Washington have been told by the Big Ten that they are in a holding pattern on whether they will let them in or not, based on whether Notre Dame signs with them.
Oh, jeez.
Notre Dame may be signing with the Big Ten. There are no rumors yet, and nobody knows how Notre Dame is feeling about this yet. They've always been very, very adamant about not joining a conference. They've always enjoyed their independence. But in the way this landscape is changing, I'm not sure they can go it on their own anymore. I think the time may have come where Notre Dame has to join a conference.
Well, we talked about this yesterday, Jeremy. I mean, we just talked about that. I mean, they have a new coach. Obviously, I mean, things are starting to they're starting to see a pattern forming here. Many of these teams, many of these colleges are starting to see a pattern form. I mean, you got two of the biggest schools, UCLA and USC, that are joining the Big Ten. And like I said yesterday, possibilities, Stanford might actually join them as well. I mean, Notre Dame, they need to find a home. And as you said yesterday, they're traditionally with NBC all the time, but money talks, bullshit walks. That's something that we've always talked about for the longest time. And to be honest with you, it would be a good idea for Notre Dame to join the Big Ten, in my opinion.
It would be a great idea for them. Personally, I think they should have done it 4 or 5 years ago. It's been in discussion, and I know the Big Ten has made overtures to them multiple times over the last 10, 15 years. I really think they should have done it about 5 or 6 years ago. But I think it would be a great move for them, especially with USC coming in. You automatically have that rivalry that's been around forever, and now it's a conference game. I mean, that's incredible. Here's the thing. If you look at geographical location, all that kind of stuff, not a lot of this makes sense. But Utah, I could say with a good deal of confidence, probably fits in the Big 12 geographically better. I would be willing to bet that they applied there. The Pac-12 is making noise, saying that their response to this is going to be to expand. So can their leadership hold together the other teams long enough to be able to maybe entice some bigger second tier programs to come to the Pac-12. But this is all on Pac-12's leadership. This really is. The Pac-12 has had some of the worst leadership for the last 10, 15 years easily. They have shot themselves in the foot at every single juncture, and apparently the catalyst for this occurring, and it was probably inevitable, but the catalyst for this occurring now was the fact that the ACC and the Pac-12 blocked the 12-game playoff format. Every other conference had agreed to a 12-team playoff format with 6 guaranteed bids going to the major conferences. So the Pac-12 would have had a guaranteed team in the playoffs every single year, with increased money, increased visibility, and all the good stuff that goes along with that. And because they wanted to be in a pissing match with the SEC, they decided with the ACC to block that from happening, which basically limits the amount of money that the Pac-12 teams can make. It makes the Pac-12 even more vulnerable to not being in the playoffs and not being in the BCS, which the Pac-12 has had the least amount of represented teams in the BCS and in the playoffs since it started. And now they've just decided to elongate that to make it even worse. I mean, this is the incompetent leadership of the Pac-12. This is why USC and UCLA felt they had no other option but to go to greener pastures.
Real quick, Jeremy, let me just interject here for a second, because we have a comment on our stream coming from Derek saying this whole thing is football driven and has no benefit for the student athlete. And imagine the jet lag these athletes are going to go through. In a sense, he's got a point there, because I mean, these students have to study. Besides playing football, they also have to study, and the jet lag is going to be, I would say it would be significant, but I don't think it would be that much detrimental to them. Really, I would think.
Well, I definitely see your point, Derek. But I'll counter with what the players are saying. And they've been, since this broke, the high school players have been rather vocal on Twitter and have been interviewed by the LA Times and a lot of different newspapers and news organizations. And they are viewing it as a bonus. They're viewing it as increased exposure, increased facilities, increased NIL opportunities, which is the licensing fees that they can make now, that they're allowed to actually earn while they're in college. So the players are looking at it a little different. Yeah, it does definitely put a little more hardship on them. I mean, playing teams that are halfway across the country rather than just 6 or 7 hours up north definitely puts a bigger strain on the student athlete. But if you're only talking about the main athletes, there may not be as much of a benefit. But when you start talking about all the other sports and the non-revenue sports and things like that, the increased revenue for the schools keeps those programs operating and keeps them properly funded and keeps them with the right equipment and the best that those universities can get them. So again, I agree with you, Derek, in that this puts an incredible amount of hardship on the student athlete, but the student athletes are not looking at it like that, apparently. I'm sure there are some.
He also added, actually, he said, I was thinking more about the other sports where more games are played, baseball, basketball, etc.
Mm-hmm. No, it definitely makes a big difference. It really does. But they have targeted a lot of the kind of non-revenue sports and the smaller sports, and the athletes in high school right now seem to be liking this. Again, the more money coming in, the better the facilities, the better training they're going to get. That seems to be how they're looking at it at the moment. So while I do agree with your point, Derek, I don't think it's as one-sided as it seems.
Well, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the competition that most of these colleges are going to be going up against in the coming seasons. I mean, it's a totally different level of competition now.
Well, that's the whole super conference thing I was talking about, is now with these teams transferring, the SEC is going to respond. They're going to add more people. The Big Ten is going to keep adding more people. And basically, you're going to have 2 dominant conferences. It could conceivably be 2 20-team leagues. That's 40 of the top teams in the entire country playing in only 2 leagues. The level of competition and the level of football you're going to see on a weekly basis is amazing. And the true competitors, the true athletes are drooling over this opportunity. I mean, the more nationally televised games, more and honestly, for the West Coast schools, less late start games, which matters
Yeah.
a lot to the players.
Mhm.
It really does. Everybody hates an early start game, but everybody hates the 7:30, 8:30 start game even more.
Some
You
of them are
know?
like at 10:30 or something like that. They're like, oh,
Mhm.
really late. It's
Yeah,
insane because they're on the East Coast too. So 10:30 for us is like, 12, like 1:30 for them.
Well, that's another point, is that it helps with recognition and visibility. The East Coast, the Midwest, come 7:30, they're not watching West Coast sports. They're getting ready for bed. They're, they're not paying attention to West Coast sports at that point in time. And that added visibility is a big thing in the minds of the voters at the end of the year, in the minds of the fans, and in the amount of momentum you're able to generate in public support. So it's all of those things are things that the student athletes seem to be looking at. They're looking at all of the ins and outs. And right now it seems that the student athletes are very excited.
Well, I'm I'm both excited. I'm a little bit concerned. More than likely going to be confused for a while. But here, I mean, everything's all about change. I mean, everything's changing. The spectrum of the sport is changing. Athletes are coming in, fresh legs, fresh everything's coming in. I mean, fresh coaches, brand new coaches, everything's changing. So, I mean, why not? Why not continue with this trend of changing? I mean,
well, long gone are the days of, stability in college football. Other college sports maybe still have a little bit more, but college football stability has been long gone for a while. Coaches sign 10-year deals and leave after 2 years. We've got the NILs and the open transfer portal for the last couple of years, although that will be tapering off. They're not going to have as many open transfer opportunities over the next couple of years, but that was more open because of the pandemic. We've seen a complete shift in what we knew about college football. And in 2 years, it's going to look completely different. I mean, we have 2 more years left of the classic matchups and, the Pac-12 and all the stuff we've known about college football. But come 2024, this whole landscape is changing, and we're going to see a lot more over the next year or two, with teams bolting and with everybody realigning.
I can't wait. I mean, I just hope that with this trend of change, UCLA changes their coach as well, but I doubt that, unfortunately, because he's like, they give him 5 years.
And I hope they hold on to him for all 5. So you can feel a little bit of my suffering.
Oh, I'm already feeling it. I've been feeling it. Okay. Anywho, in other sports news, some very tragic incidents are happening for NBA. Charlotte Hornets forward got arrested actually for domestic violence. Jeremy, what's going on with that?
So yeah, we have let me get his name here, but we have the forward from the Charlotte Hornets. This is a young player who actually has just really started to explode onto the scene this year. He was not a very well-known player up until this year, kind of more of a role player who was considered an underachiever, but this year he's really blossomed in the team he's in. And he was arrested this week for what appears to be a pretty brutal domestic violence incident. His name is Miles Bridges, and his wife, Michelle Johnson, after he was arrested, posted some very graphic photos of her injuries and, of the things that had occurred. She apparently had a fractured wrist, a torn eardrum, torn muscles in her neck from him choking her out, a severe concussion, and was choked out until she lost consciousness.
Jeez.
So there's even heart-wrenching video that she was taking as she's taking video of all of this, of her son going, why was daddy choking mommy?
Oh man.
So this is pretty horrific here. I'm going to take this in two directions. One, this is horrible and completely unacceptable. This man needs to be charged to the fullest extent of the law. You will never hear me defend an abuser, ever. But in the early bits of this coming out, I'm already seeing stories of people calling for him to never be allowed to play in the NBA again. Now, I understand that feeling. I do. But I have an issue with that.
Mm-hmm.
As somebody who's come out of recovery and somebody who had to change a lot and who's done a lot of dirt in his life when I was not the person I am now, I believe in second chances. Is what he did absolutely horrific? Yes, absolutely. Do I believe he's incapable of healing and change and recovering from that? No, I don't. And if he truly did show remorse and changed and bettered himself, I think not allowing him to play or banning him to play for what is an absolutely horrific incident, I think that would be wrong. I think second chances are important. This is no small thing he did. I mean, it's still alleged at this point, but I mean, there's video evidence, there's picture evidence. It looks pretty conclusive at this point. But I'm a believer in second chances. I don't believe almost anybody is without, the possibility of redemption. And saying because of one horrific act that somebody should never be allowed to earn a living in this way again or do something they love, I don't agree with that. If you don't agree with me, I understand. Believe me, there's a lot of passionate feeling behind an incident like this.
Well, look at Mike Tyson. There's an example right there. Mike Tyson's a perfect example. He went to prison for, the things that he did. He came back a changed man.
People are capable of change. Does it happen often? Unfortunately, no. But, people are able to change past behavior, to grow, to heal, and to get better. And it is possible he could do that. So I don't like anybody slamming the door and saying because of one horrible act, and it is absolutely horrible, that somebody should never be able to, get their life back after that. There's a lot of healing that would need to be done. I mean, personally, I would, if I was the GM thinking about signing this guy down the road, I would expect to see some serious, repentance and actual remorse over what had happened, real change and growth. And that's a hard thing to judge. But if I saw that years down the line, I would still be open to signing this person. I don't think you can shut the door on a life, and say that it is absolutely without redemption in most cases.
Yeah. Well, it's an unfortunate incident that happened, and let's hope that he goes ahead and gets charged and gets help at the same time, because that's pretty much what's called for in here is therapy.
I hope
for this person.
He obviously needs a lot of help, and honestly, he deserves a lot of punishment. I hope they go after him full force for this, and he serves the full sentence and full force of his, full consequences of his actions. But after having done so, I hope he gets help, and I hope he's able to, reclaim his life to some degree.
Agreed. In other sports news, Cain Velasquez is suing the alleged child molester that molested his son. Now, we've all heard about this story. Former UFC heavyweight champion Cain Velasquez was actually arrested and is currently serving time. He hasn't been charged. He hasn't been sentenced yet, but he is imprisoned right now for attempted murder. This was shortly after he actually went after a gentleman that had allegedly molested his son, shot at him, missed, and got his stepfather instead. Got the man's stepfather instead. So that's why he's being charged with attempted murder. But now, as he's in prison right now, as he's in jail right now, awaiting sentence and awaiting his trial for the crime that he committed, he is actually suing the man that is allegedly the person that molested his 4-year-old son. It goes on to say, quote, Cain Velasquez, the former UFC heavyweight champion charged with attempted murder of a man he claims molested his 4-year-old son, is now suing the man and his family, who own a child care business where the alleged molestation took place. Velasquez, 39, remains in police custody after he allegedly shot at the man and rammed his truck into his vehicle during a high-speed pursuit through Santa Clara County in February. The two-time UFC heavyweight champion claims in a civil lawsuit that Harry Goularte molested Velasquez's son while he was attending a child care center run by Goularte's mother, Patricia Goularte. Now, obviously, this is actually a story that I wanted to bring up a while back when it first broke, but because of timing issues, I never got around to talking about this. Many people are actually petitioning for Velasquez to be set free because as a parent, any parent would go ahead and go after somebody like this and try to kill them. I mean, I'm not a parent. I can't speak for myself, but Jeremy, you are a parent. In a situation like this, would you agree with the actions that Cain Velasquez did, in this particular instance?
Now, morally speaking, I'm supposed to say no and all this other stuff. As a father, I can tell you when my boys were younger, if this had happened, you'd never find the body. It's that simple. What I don't understand to some degree is, I mean, I guess because he couldn't get close to him, but a man with Cain's size and ability, if I was working with those tools, I'd have ripped the guy limb from limb with my bare hands. There wouldn't have needed to be a gun involved. The other side of that, though, is, I've always said the bill is due. Are you willing to pay the consequences? And for me, I'd be willing to pay those consequences. I'm not saying I wouldn't fight for my release or any of that other, but I would know before doing it what I'm setting myself up for. And if I face life in prison after that, so be it. Because that, again, you're not protecting your child anymore at this point. It's already occurred. It's sheer vengeance. It's wrong. But as a father, I can tell you, especially after having been through sexual abuse myself, you'd never find the body.
Agreed.
That's
I think many parents would agree with you on that one. That's why a lot of people are petitioning for him to be released. So far, they asked for him to be released on bail. It was denied. According to the court, basically it's saying that, it's basically, don't quote me on this or anything, but they're basically saying that they understood where he was coming from, but he still broke the law. He still, legally speaking, he acted on vengeance. He became a vigilante in essence, and went after this person without having the law involved or anything like that. So that, unfortunately, is the reason why he's behind bars right now, for that reason.
Well, I can tell you, I'm not supportive of them just releasing him. That sends a message, and it's probably not the right message. But I'm sorry. He did break the law in doing what he did, and he took, and what may have been an innocent life. We have no idea what the person who he actually shot, involvement may have been, or can't say, but he took an innocent life. He didn't even kill the person he was trying to.
Well, no, he didn't kill them. He didn't kill them. It was an attempt. The stepfather's still alive.
Okay,
yeah.
Well, he shot another person. You shot an innocent person in your vengeance while trying to take vengeance on the person we all would have understood you taking vengeance on. So there's still a major crime there. I don't support him just being released or getting amnesty. While it may be a crime we all understand, it's still a crime that resulted in an innocent person being shot, and it could have ended in more innocents being hurt. So they have to send a message.
True. And I mean, I'm still curious to see what's going to happen with Cain Velasquez, because such a talented fighter. Such a great heavyweight fighter, for his career to end in such a tragic way. I mean, in a sense, I think as a father, he's perfectly okay with it ending this way. But as a fan, I'm sad for that entire situation. I'm sad for Kane. I'm sad for his family. I'm especially sad for his son having to go through what that poor kid went through, the trauma that kid's gonna have for the rest of his life.
Well, and the trauma that his father has added, unfortunately.
I mean,
This is something this kid's going to have to deal with, is the fact that his father's in prison for going after the guy who hurt him. There's going to be guilt. There's going to be, he's done his own amount of damage by seeking his revenge.
it's just, it's a sad thing, but, trial's still going to be happening. We don't know the date yet. We don't know what's going to happen with Cain Velasquez. Hopefully the judge and the jury are very lenient on him. At the very least, he serves not a life sentence, but maybe something a little bit better than a life sentence, a little bit less than that. Because obviously, as a parent, anybody would have done the same thing in his position. They would have destroyed this guy. They wouldn't have attempted it. They would have done it. And it's just, again, a very, very sad situation that unfortunately we're just gonna have to wait and see what happens. That's the news. In case you haven't heard it, thank you so much, everybody, for joining the Navarro-Miller Report here. I hope all of you have a very fun and safe 4th of July weekend. Jeremy, you gonna be doing any fireworks at all?
Gonna be taking it very easy, and please, folks, no effing fireworks. Okay, seriously, we're in California. We are in the worst drought that California has ever seen. We have more fire conditions than ever. I'm a fan of fireworks. I grew up with them. I was a kid of the 70s and 80s. We had fireworks in our backyard every 4th of July. Do not do it. Please do not be stupid. Okay, it's the dumbest idea in the world in these conditions to be lighting off fireworks. The conditions are so bad, they're actually canceling 15 different coordinated, orchestrated shows with orchestrated fireworks just in case, because if even something goes wrong, we're at that bad of a fire risk. So please, people, use some brains. I'm begging you.
And whatever you do not do something like put a firework inside a bottle, light it, and don't think that it's going to burn you, because let me tell you, it will. Not that I know anything about that.
Yeah.
Hey, things happen when you drink. What can I say? Anyways, thanks you everybody for joining us. Make sure that you follow us on YouTube, Instagram, all our social medias. Make sure you go ahead, if you didn't get a chance to hear all of the show today, check us out tomorrow. The recast is going to be on iHeartRadio.com, Spotify, and on Sunday it'll be on Apple Podcasts. So make sure you check us out right there. I'm your host, Dave Navarro.
I'm Jeremy Miller.
And we hope to see all of you next time. Everybody be safe. Have a wonderful 4th of July weekend. And take care, everybody. We'll see you. Are we seeing them on Monday, or are we taking 4th of July off?
No, we're seeing you Monday.
Oh, great. I have to see you again. Jeez. Oh well, I guess if I have to go ahead and put up with him, I'll gladly do it for all of you. So everybody have a great weekend. We'll see you guys next time.
You have been listening to the Navarro-Miller Report.